again, and Deontay Wilder couldn't do anything about it. And I'll stand with what I said before. I thought coming in at 17 stone was the wrong thing to do for me. I think he tired. He was always in the fight, but as Tyson Fury went on round by round,
and I've done it.
Yeah, it didn't look too pleasant. Well, I'm not sure. I'd like to be in there to know exactly what was said, but it sounds like Tyson was given a piece of his mind.
I got it time. Yeah, he improved. He worked on his boxing and stuff. It was a different fight, It was a much different fight from fight 2, and a much different fight from fight 1. He came in real heavy tonight, like 238 pounds, and I believe that helped him. And he was definitely hitting solid. But you know what? I thought that we fought it all out there, and all the allegations that they made towards me, like throughout the build-up of this fight. And we fought like two warriors in there, and I went over to shake his hand and say, well done. And he was like, no, I don't respect you. I was like, how can you say I've cheated when you know in your own heart and your full team knows that you just got beat fair and square? So it's just like, he's just a sore loser in boxing or what, but I'm sure he's not the first one and he won't be the last one. But I've acted like a gentleman throughout my career, and that's all I can do.
Hey guys, what's going on? This is The Conservative speaking, and I wanted to talk about the trilogy fight between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, and it was an epic fight. It was, to me, one of the greatest heavyweight fights that I've seen in my lifetime. To see a better trilogy fight, I mean, you have to go maybe as far as Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier, but in my era, it is definitely Wilder Fury, especially considering what was in stake. The WBC Heavyweight Championship, which Deontay Wilder once held and had held for 5 years, and Wilder wanting to avenge his loss and potentially become a 2-time WBC Heavyweight Champion against the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury, who beat him a year ago and beat him definitively. Tyson Fury didn't just beat up Deontay Wilder, he beat him up in the last fight. And this fight was similar, except the fact that it was a lot more competitive between these two gladiators. Several knockdowns by both gladiators. And it was really an event that was worth the treat of actually watching the fight. If you happen to pay for the fight, it was definitely worth every single penny. Just back and forth action between both combatants. Fury dropping Wilder in the 3rd round. Wilder dropping Fury twice in the 4th round. And then Fury dropping Wilder in the 10th round. And then in the 11th round, Fury puts Deontay Wilder to sleep. And let me tell you, when Tyson Fury dropped Deontay Wilder with that violent haymaker, and to see Deontay Wilder drop like a sack of potatoes, it was the greatest thing that I have ever seen. Coming from Deontay Wilder, to see Wilder get dropped like that, I think it was just due. Considering all the stuff that Deontay Wilder was saying about Tyson Fury, about Fury cheating and having egg weights in his gloves, and that the gloves weren't padded enough, and something was wrong with his legs, and that the costume that he wore last time was too heavy. I mean, Deontay Wilder had an excuse for every single reason to not accept the fact that he got beat by the better man. Well, Wilder didn't really come up with any excuses in this fight. And the reason being was because, I mean, actually Wilder gave a statement stating that all really Tyson Fury did was that he leaned on him and pretty much took out his legs and was able to hit him and finish the job. But Deontay Wilder, despite what Wilder had did and what Deontay Wilder did was amazing. I mean, it was completely completely amazing to see a guy stand upright despite the fact that his legs were pretty much taken underneath from him, from Fury leaning his weight on him and forcing Wilder to get Fury's weight off of him, thereby taking his legs off, and Fury just giving immense hooks and uppercuts. The fact that Deontay Wilder was able to stand upright and refuse to go down, I think that says a lot about Deontay Wilder as a warrior. I mean, physically, he was going to take all he could until he couldn't take any more. But Deontay Wilder, despite the fact that his performance was also nothing short of spectacular, and the heart that he showed was nothing short of spectacular. Clearly, he ruined it by being a sore loser and behaving just like a woman. I mean, Deontay Wilder's mental temperament was that of a loser, because he couldn't take defeat graciously like Anthony Joshua did when he first lost his belts to Andy Ruiz, and then recently losing his belts to Usyk. Deontay Wilder refused to shake Tyson Fury's hand after Tyson Fury definitively beat Deontay Wilder. He didn't just beat him, he beat him up. He practically did the same thing that he did to Wilder in the last bout that they had. Everyone came out and said that Deontay Wilder was going to come up with something different, and Malik Scott, obviously Deontay Wilder's trainer, who winds up looking like he was selling wolf tickets, was saying that Wilder was going to come up with something different, and that he was going to come up with some different tools to then throw at Tyson Fury. And we all knew that it was nonsense. Like, honestly, you're going to teach Deontay Wilder how to be an actual technical boxer, and you're going to be able to do that within a span of, 2 months? This is Wilder's style. Deontay Wilder fights with a wide stance, no head movement, footwork terrible, no defense at all. No willing to even defend himself. He's willing to take as many punches as he's willing to take, and then actually throw punches while he's at it. This guy has very poor fundamentals, and because of that, there's no way that he could be able to outbox a technical mauler like Tyson Fury. And it just goes to show you how weak and pathetic and pitiful, and how sorry of an excuse of a beta male Deontay Wilder is. And the fact that Tyson Fury was able to beat Deontay Wilder 3 times. Actually, he beat him the first time, but they called it a draw. Well, Fury won the majority of those rounds. And then the second and third, in the second fight, Fury wins by TKO because his trainer actually cared enough about him to stop a mauling that Deontay Wilder was taking that inevitably would have led to him getting knocked out. And then in the third round, Wilder definitively gets put to sleep. Okay? Nothing to see here. But the reason why this title is called Deontay Wilder is a sore loser is because he cannot take defeat graciously. Instead, he refuses to shake his hand, even though Wilder knows deep in his heart that Tyson Fury beat him fair and square. But hail to the Gypsy King, the greatest heavyweight champion in our era, and clearly he has the type of style that will run over any heavyweight. I don't see any heavyweight out there right now that is willing that will be able to beat Tyson Fury. Not at all. Not even a whimper. There's no one that even comes close to beating Tyson Fury, because Fury will use this same tactic and will take your legs out, and then he will knock you down and knock you out. It is amazing. So where does this leave Deontay Wilder now? And what does this say about Wilder's legacy? Well, this says that Wilder really was more of a paper champion. This was a guy who walked around with the WBC belt for 5 years because he was cherry picking opposition that were not up to par. He beat up a bunch of bums. He beat up guys that were on a decline, journeymen meaning guys that had double-digit losses, and guys that literally did not or were not willing to face a guy with his type of punching power. I mean, a lot of guys that he faced, they lost before they even stepped in the ring with Deontay Wilder. So Wilder was able to get all of these knockouts, and he padded his resume to make himself believe that he was the scariest fighter out there. And then he cherry-picked Tyson Fury. And the only reason why he cherry-picked Tyson Fury the first time around was because Tyson Fury blew up to 400 pounds at one time, a year prior to them facing off for the first time in 2018. Tyson Fury was nowhere near in boxing shape. And Deontay Wilder did not expect that Fury was going to be in complete boxing shape, and he was right. Because when Fury decided to accept the bout and he fought Deontay Wilder for the first time, Fury was only maybe in 50% shape. And even at 50%, Deontay Wilder could not take this man down. He knocked him down twice. He couldn't keep him down. And so you can say that Tyson Fury was Deontay Wilder's toughest opponent. All right? Because Fury is not just a bum coming off from the streets. Now, granted, prior to that, Tyson Fury was the unified heavyweight champion back in 2015. And then he vacated it because he decided to do drugs. He even thought about killing himself at one time. And the year before he fought Wilder for the first time, he ballooned up to 400 pounds. This man had no chance at all. But he got himself in the best boxing shape that he could. And the first match was a draw between Wilder and Fury. And then the second and third fights, the second fight, Fury wins by TKO. Third fight, Fury puts him to sleep. And all that says is that Deontay Wilder is a paper champion. A man that really wasn't deserving of being the WBC heavyweight champion. I mean, look at the guy that he beat to get the championship, Bermane Stiverne. Who? Exactly. Where's Bermane Stiverne now? Right? I rest my case. So it's one of those things where I think Wilder counted his blessings. He cherry picked the right opponents to beat up, to make himself believe that he was the scariest heavyweight out there and no one can beat this guy. Just the problem is that he cherry picked the wrong guy. He cherry picked the guy that he thought in his mind was finished, and then come to find out that he winds up finishing him. It was epic, and obviously the right man won. The right champion, the true champion, was out for display yesterday. And this really more is an indictment on Wilder than anything else. Deontay Wilder, while coming into the ring, he was able to actually walk over the ropes. Like he was actually able to overextend his hips and walk over the ropes. He came in as a giant when he entered that ring, and as soon as he lost and the ring announcer was getting ready to announce the winner of the fight, he crawled out of the ring like a child escaping the house. Like a mouse, escaping a crawl space. Beta, or like a mouse entering a crawl space. That's what I meant to say. Deep down, Deontay Wilder is a beta male, a weak, pathetic, pitiful, overestimated, overhyped beta male. This is a guy that tooted his own horn, and he was tooting his own horn for a long time, and then he came across Tyson Fury. And now the hype train is over at this point, because Deontay Wilder, really, without the WBC heavyweight title, where does he go from here? Now, Deontay Wilder does have the right hand, and that's something that a lot of people will definitely tune in for. But Wilder is no longer the A-side fighter anymore, so he's just going to have to take whatever comes to him at this point. Me personally, I would advise Deontay Wilder to retire, because he was shown out by the much more technical fighter. This goes to show you that Deontay Wilder is a fraud. I mean, he was a fraud that relied on his right hand to get him through. And it was his right hand that got him through. Because outside of that, what else could he rely on? Boxing skills? He has none. Deontay Wilder is a loser. He is a loser. And the fact that he did not want to shake Tyson Fury's hand after Tyson Fury ran over the Bronze Bomber just goes to show you how weak-minded this man is. This man thinks, and behaves just like a woman. He needs to overcome his mother. Once he overcomes his mother and is able to return to the father, then he'll be able to think like a man instead of acting like a female. Deontay Wilder is a beta male. All right? A weak beta male. Beta! Hail to the Gypsy King. Now I want to know, what excuse is Deontay Wilder going to come up with now? I can't wait to hear his next excuse. I can't wait to hear his next excuse. Actually, you know what? He may not even come up with an excuse. His fans will. The Bum Squad fans will, but I don't think Deontay Wilder will come up with an excuse, because there's nothing he can say. What can he say? He was knocked out. He was put to sleep. He did come out with a statement stating that, hey, that Fury did get the job done. So I don't think Wilder will come out with any excuses, nor should he. The better man won, and me personally, I was rooting for the Gypsy King, because Tyson Fury is the better fighter. All right, take away the hype from Deontay Wilder. What does he have? All right, the man can punch, but the man cannot box. He is a loser. All right, no fundamentals. Once again, no head movement. Footwork is terrible. No defense. The guy was a stationary target at one time, just taking a whole bunch of straights and hooks and uppercuts. Give it to him. He has heart, but the man is a loser. And so, what do you guys think about this? Leave a comment in the comment section after you subscribe to my channel. Click the like button and subscribe. Okay, I'm going to have more content coming to you. And with that being said, you just got the perspective of this boxing match from The Conservative. And I'm signing out. Have a great day.